just so you know, you're in the right place if you are all about the food, because Amber and I both are. If you love keeping some of the goodies into your diet, but maybe you haven't really figured out how that all works, like maybe you're the person that kind of starts and stops, like you take breaks from your diet in order to enjoy life, and then you press pause on life and go back on your diet. Amber and I are going to talk all about that today. So I will say that it's not for you if you're the person who loves to be extreme, like you just aren't willing to give those things up. You're just like, I feel like diets should be punishment and I want to remove everything in order to look a certain way. This is probably going to rub you the wrong way a little bit, because we're not going to talk about those things at all. So Amber, can you just tell us a little bit about you so that everybody who doesn't already know you can kind of get the gist of what it is that you do?
Yeah, awesome. So, Kiki said it exactly. Like, I align really well with what Kiki teaches, and you guys have a great teacher because Kiki keeps it real. That most of us don't we want abs, we want to lose the 10 pounds, we want to fit in a swimsuit, but we're like, but if it requires me to never have donuts for the rest of my life, I'm not sure if it's worth it, right? And so we come from this place of a lot of us where it's this either or mentality that either I can eat ice cream or I can have abs, and we feel like we have to choose between the two, or either I can eat a donut with my kids or I can fit in my jeans. Which one's more important? And what I love and what I love to teach is that you can have both. You can absolutely eat a donut, not experience guilt, fit it into your plan, and you can lose the 20 pounds that you want. And when we come from this and both place, it's a really empowering and liberating place to be. And we'll talk about how we can actually start to make that transition, because for so many of the women, I don't know about you, Kiki, but so many of the women that I work with, they come to me and they just are like, Amber, either I can eat 0 cookies or 50 cookies.
Yes.
I don't know how the heck just eat 1 cookie. And what I'm offering to you is that you can learn moderation. You can get to that beautiful place of moderation. It doesn't have to be 0 or 100. You really can get to that place where you can have 1 cookie, enjoy it, no guilt, fits in your plan, still hitting your goals. And that's a beautiful place to be.
Yes. So that is you line up perfectly with the first thing that I want to talk about. Was we both know in our industry, there are these extremes. There are the either ors.
Yeah.
But we are proponents of
yes.
Okay, I want this and I want that. I want to lose fat and I want to eat ice cream in the summer. You don't want to give those things up. So one of the biggest things, especially because you're coming in on day 6 of the protein challenge, that I wanted to address right off the bat, and this is the reason why I brought Amber on, you guys, because yes, I've been harping on protein all week long and telling you protein is important, and the only thing we've been talking about is protein. But, and Amber, you know that this is probably going to happen, that some people out there are probably already thinking this. We don't want you to go to the other extreme and start thinking that you should only ever eat protein, that the other macros, carbs, and fat don't count. So can you just talk a little bit about that? So like I said, we've been focusing on that. You're on day 6 that you're coming in at, but can you just let us know, why is it important not to remove the stuff you love?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a way to explain this in a way that makes sense to a lot of people. Yes, protein is important, but we can't, like Kiki said, we can't go too far to the other extreme. Because our body works best when we are getting enough of all the macronutrients. And I liken it to a car. So in a car, there's multiple different types of fluids that are needed, right? You need gas to run, you need radiator fluid, you need oil to run. And so if you just poured in a whole bunch of oil and you didn't have any radiator fluid or gas, your car wouldn't run, even if you had a ton of oil. And that's trying to have a ton of protein and being oh, why is my body not running well? Well, it's because you're skimping on some of the other things that it needs. And so our carbs and our fat are essential macronutrients as well. Our body needs carbs for energy. We utilize glucose very well. Our body needs fat in order to regulate hormones. And this is one of the reasons that I love macro counting. We can get into this a little bit more so much, is that because it's all about getting enough of each of the macronutrients, not just protein, not just fat, not just carbohydrates, but we need to get enough of each of the macronutrients so that our body is running well. It's just like having enough fluids in your car, of all the different types of fluids. it's going to run a whole lot better. And so, yes, protein is important. Gas is important in your carb. It can't be the only thing that you have in your carb.
Right. Right. Gas is important, but you still need to change the oil and do all of the other maintenance on it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things, because I know that we tend to do that. So like whether it's lifting, we see that where it's like, okay, we only lift, don't ever do cardio. If it's protein, then it's carbs are bad. Or if it's high carbs, then it's like, I don't need that much protein. Or if we're, if plant-based is good, then we should never eat any meat. So it's just like, we tend to just want to go to these extremes instead of figuring out how to incorporate them all, which is why I love, love, love what you do, because, and you guys have asked, like, why don't you do anything that teaches on macros? Because Amber has done it. She has created it. She has perfected it. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. So if there's someone who can teach you this stuff, it is Amber, which is why I have you here. So can you just tell us a little bit? So you've lost quite a bit of weight, because you've had 4 kids, and you guys saw the picture that I posted earlier of those abs. That's 4 kids later.
Yeah.
How?
So I've had 4 kids. I've gained weight. I've had multiple experiences trying to lose the weight, be unsuccessful, and be at this place where I felt like I was doing all the things, right? I'm eating healthy, I'm going to the gym, and my body just always looks the same. How come it's not changing like I want it to? And it was when I found macro counting that everything shifted. It was this light bulb went off in my head. I was like, of course, I have the exercise, I'm doing that, but my nutrition isn't supporting the goals that I want to have. And that's what macro counting really allows you to do, is have what you're eating be incongruent with the results that you're wanting to see. And so when I found that, in 10 weeks, I dropped about 10 pounds, was able to get a 6-pack for the first time. That was my New Year's resolution back in 2016.
Your abs are insane. Oh my gosh.
For the first time. And I finally, and even more importantly, I finally felt like I had the knowledge and power and control to hit my goals. And so I love to share that, yes, my journey started with 2016. I said, I want to see a 6-pack. I was able to achieve that. But the thing that macro counting has done for me is it didn't stop there, because once you understand how to align your nutrition and your goals, it doesn't matter what your goal is, you have the keys. And so after that, I wanted to add muscle. I was able to do that by supporting it with my nutrition. I wanted to get really strong and have a 300-pound deadlift. I was able to do that, support it with my nutrition. So it's yes, I talk a lot about weight loss because that's what a lot of women come to me for. But the beautiful thing about macro counting is that it's not just for weight loss. It just means I understand how the food that I'm eating impacts the results that I'm getting, and I have control, and I can tweak and adjust and do whatever I need to with my nutrition in order to hit any goal that I have.
Yeah, that's amazing. And really, that's the whole point of what you get to learn with macros, because it's not even just we're talking obviously a lot about fat loss and how to use it for fat loss, but it goes for multiple phases. So whether you're trying to build muscle, because, we both work with a lot of the over dieted population, that people have just dieted and dieted and dieted, and maybe they've lost a lot of muscle, their metabolism has gone down. So, they're trying to lose the fat, but maybe that muscle tone isn't there. So then they have to go through a muscle building phase. You use your macros for that as well. So understanding how the macros play into every phase is really critical, whether it's maintenance, bulk, cut, whatever, reverse dieting, it's all there, right?
And the thing is you're eating macros right now, right? You're eating a certain amount of macros right now, regardless of if you're tracking it or knowledgeable about it or not. Why don't you learn about it so that you can actually be in control of that, rather than just I don't know, I'm just going to eat this because it's healthy, it's quote unquote healthy, but is it aligning with your goals? And so it's for me, it's about empowering women. I feel like that's the word that comes out when I work with clients, is they leave just feeling empowered. It's not I guess anymore. I don't just sit here and be I hope I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I hope I'm going to lose 10 pounds. They have the knowledge and the
strategy
and the strategy to work with their body to be able to get there, rather than just hoping and guessing and wishing, which is a very disempowering place to be.
Yeah. And I think I love that you say that about the macro, because there's a lot of times, whether it's tracking or whatever, we look at it I don't want to do that, or that doesn't work for me. Totally. And so with macros, just like you said, you can track them or count them or not, they still exist. You're still eating them. The foods that you're eating still have macronutrients. So they're either working for you or against you, depending upon your goals. Because that's one of the things that, I have a lot of people that are just, like, oh, it's just calories, or, oh, it's just macros. And it's like, okay, well, they do work together, because anything that you eat that has macros has calories, and anything that you eat with calories has macros. Yep. And it's, calories determine, whether you lose or gain, but macros determine what you lose or gain.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better. That's exactly right. And I do want to like bring this up, because I get this a lot, where people are like, they see macro counting and they're like, a lot of macro counters are like weighing their food and they're tracking their food, and they're like, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life, right? And so we get this big like, well, I don't want to do that. So how is this going to work for me? And what I really encourage you to think about is understanding macro counting as a tool. So I liken it to like putting like training wheels on your bike, right? If you're trying to find moderation and you just get on a two-wheeler bike, you're going to fall on your face, right?
Right.
You don't know what balance feels like. It's like you're either 0 cookies or 100 cookies, right? And what macro counting as a tool for a period of time can do is like putting training wheels, and it allows you to be like, oh, this is what moderation feels like. This is what it feels like to like eat a cookie, not be guilty, and be able to still have my goals. And you can know what it feels like. You learn portion sizes, you learn the components of your food, so that in the long run, you can take those training wheels off. Like, I don't track anymore. I don't weigh my food anymore because of what I learned during the period of time that I did it. So I look at macro counting as like a tool that you use for a period of time to understand your food, understand your body, understand like how those work together, so that in the long run, you can continue that moderation and that balance without falling flat on your face.
Yes. And I think that is so critical, because I'm the same as you. So I'm always like, okay, go track your food. But then there's people that will go follow me on MyFitnessPal, and they're like, why is your diary empty?
I'm like, oh, I did my time. I already did it.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that it's just like I know what I'm eating, because of like, if you go into it knowing the end game and knowing that, okay, ultimately I want to be able to eat without tracking. Ultimately, I want to be able to eat intuitively, or whatever it is, like, again, we see that either or in our community and in the fitness industry, where it's like, just eat intuitively. Well, if you have a goal and you never learn how to eat properly, eating intuitively is probably what's getting you further away from your goal.
Because most people haven't learned, like, we don't learn nutrition, right? Like, we don't, most people, I'm shocked at how many people are shocked when they start tracking their food and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how many carbs were in a banana. Or I had no idea like how much fat was in peanut butter. Like, peanut butter is not a protein, it's a fat. And so just, like, it's just eye-opening to be able to do it. And I am of the opinion that everybody should track their food for at least 2 weeks at one point in your life, right? Like,
Amen.
Even if you're not trying to hit anything, just having your eyes open and that awareness of the nutrients that are in your food, it is a game changer. It just makes you more aware and more knowledgeable about what you're consuming.
And when you think about it, that's because one of the things that you said earlier was, in your different attempts to lose weight, and I found the same thing. Like I was eating super healthy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, on the extreme side of healthy, like, I'm okay, everything is 100% organic and non-GMO. And it's like, I was looking at all of these things, but not paying attention to how those tallied up in a way that was affecting my results. And it was like, I just couldn't understand, like, why am I not getting results? I am the healthiest person that I know. Why aren't the results coming?
Just that little key, right? You're just missing. And that, for me, it was what it felt like. It was like I had the rest of the puzzle. It's just like this little key that I was missing, because I was eating healthy. Like, I was eating healthy foods. I was exercising. I was doing all the things. And that was what it made it so frustrating. And it was like, all I needed was that last puzzle piece to like put in. And then it was like, boom. Oh, like my body responded in the way that I had always wanted it to respond.
Absolutely. And that's even the whole thing behind where the protein challenge came from, because this was, I don't know when I created it, like 2013 or something like that. But that's when I discovered it, because I finally started tracking my food and like really paying attention to like, okay, I feel like I'm eating super healthy. Let me go and look at how many calories that I'm eating. Once it seemed like, okay, the calories are in alignment, I still wasn't seeing the changes that I wanted. But even if I had leaned out some, there wasn't like muscle definition and some of the other things that I was looking for. So as I started actually studying what I was punching in, it was like, okay, here's this glaring red flag, which for me was the protein at the time. It's like, okay, I've been avoiding this thing. Yeah. Now it's time to do it. Right. So do you find that happens a lot with people you're coaching?
Well, yeah, and exactly what you said. So we can focus on calories, which is a place that a lot of people are very familiar about focusing. But what I have found, and this is like reiterating what you found, is that even if you're eating a certain amount of calories, that determines whether or not you lose weight.
Right.
But we have to be really clear that weight and fat are not the same thing.
Right.
So you can step on the scale, you can see a 5-pound drop, and it could just be because you peed more yesterday.
Exactly.
Or like you took a big dump in the bathroom, right? Like those things will cause you to lose weight. It does not mean that you are losing fat. And so if we want to make sure that the weight that you're losing is actually fat, then balancing those macronutrients, making sure you're getting enough protein, enough carbs, enough fat, while still maintaining a caloric deficit. Like we can't get around the law of thermodynamics. Like you have to have that caloric deficit, but we make sure that we're fueling our body with enough. It's able to like do the things that we want it to be able to do and lose the weight that we want it to be able to lose, and have that weight be actual fat loss. And this is where we come into play with like, what I hate to see is women who take their calories really low, they take their protein really low, and they see the scale go down, and they think that that's a win, when in actuality what they're losing is muscle. And that's a losing scenario, because as you lose muscle mass, your metabolism drops, and it's not going to get you to where you want to be. And so we really want to make sure, and I'm sure Kiki's talked about this, but like having high enough protein really allows you to maintain that muscle mass, which is so important, so that the weight that you do lose is actually fat, which is
yeah. And I mean, and you probably find this often too, especially like I was saying, like when people start getting to a certain point of leanness, or maybe even in the beginning where the scale may not be moving, but they're still losing fat. And that's like the biggest key of why you want to focus on your macros, because you may get, you know, like you said, with the calories, you may reduce your calories and lose scale weight, but not look different at all. Yeah. Or maybe look worse by your own standards of like, this is not how I thought this would look when I lost this weight.
Yep.
But the opposite can be true when you're paying attention to your macros and you're actually losing fat. Like the scale can do whatever it does, and you can look better and better and better.
Totally. And that's why, and I really want to like reiterate this for your audience, because if you are on some sort of fitness journey and you're looking at the wrong data, you're not getting the full picture. And so many people are, the only data point that they're looking at is the scale. Yes. And that's just like, you just can't look at just one data point. It's like trying to like convict a murder victim just because there's one piece of evidence, right? No, like we need multiple pieces of evidence that point to what actually happened. And so in your fitness journey, yes, like I'm all for using the scale as a single data point, but you need to be taking that in conjunction with measurements, with progress pictures, with how your clothes are fitting, with other non-scale victories. And when we look at all of those data points, then we can get a really clear picture of like, am I moving in the right direction? If so, awesome, keep going. Maybe I'm not moving in the right direction. That's also awesome, because now you have that feedback that you can adjust and keep moving forward. So I really, truly don't believe that feedback, whether it's positive or negative, is a good thing, because it allows us to either keep going or it allows us to accurately adjust and keep going.
Yes, 100%, 1000%. Like that is so important. And I love that you really went into detail on that, because we need to understand that, because we, you know, I mean, that's really just part of, you know, both you and I talk a lot about the diet mentality, and the scale can be a big part of that. So if we understand that it's a tool, yes, you know, most of the time I'm telling people like, okay, we have to disregard what the scale is saying because you're doing X, Y, Z. So yes, we both talk about the scale, but at the same time, we know that there has to be a connection to the bigger picture, the same way that macros and calories have to be interconnected. And that's something that I know you probably deal with when there are people that come in from, you know, maybe they've used tracking in different ways, whether it was Weight Watchers or something else. Like, you know, the only issue that I take with that is because it removes you from understanding the food.
Yes.
You know, when you're only tracking, because people will ask a lot. And like I say, I'm sure people ask you that too. Like, well, can I do this with Weight Watchers? And it's like, if you know what the makeup of that food is and you understand why those points or that point system is working for you, that's one thing. But when we are just blindly following a plan, then, you know, that's where most of the hiccups come in, because we don't really understand why.
Right. So. And I see that even we talk a lot, like I talk a lot about how, you know, macro counting is not a diet, right? It's not like, it's not a diet. And some people will like try to argue with that. But what I always come back to is that with a diet, there are rules, right? And you either follow the rules or you don't, right? Like it's black and white, right? You either follow and hit your points or you don't. You either don't eat carbs or you're failing keto, right? Like it's these rules. And the way that, especially that I teach macro counting, now people teach it all different ways. Right. The way that I teach it is very much in line with like, here's some general principles. I'm going to teach you some general principles, and we're going to take that and we're going to apply it into your life, not the other way around. I have problems when people like take their life and they try to shove it into macros and fit it within this like framework.
Yes.
Because I think that it's not sustainable. It's not like, you're not going to be able to do it long term. It's not going to be enjoyable. But when we can take macro counting as a concept, and we can take you as a unique individual, a unique human with unique goals and unique circumstances, and we can take those just general principles and apply them to you, it works so much better in the long run. And it stops becoming this like, either you did it or you didn't. Either you like hit your macros or you didn't, right? I have a holistic approach in the way that I teach my clients to count macros, in the way I teach them to approach their macros each day, in the way that I teach them how to, create a plan for their day and things like that. A lot of what I teach comes back down to, again, principles of ownership, of being intentional, and of like thinking ahead and creating the results that you want to create in your life based off of what you're willing to put into the process. And that looks different for everybody, right? Some people are not willing to weigh their food, and that's totally fine.
Right.
You can put into the process what you're willing to put in, and we can get you results from there.
Well, I think what you said about the awareness earlier, like that's where that comes in. It can make you just more aware of your habits. Yeah. When you're tracking these things and taking a look at something that, you know, like you try setting your macros a certain way, or you try eating certain foods to fit within those macros for a while, and you discover that that's not working for you, you now have feedback to go and see like, okay, well, if I try to split it out like that, that doesn't work for me. So let me go back and look at what are other ways that I can get in that amount of protein, carbs, fat, or whatever it is and make it work. So I see Keisha Morris here said that she's struggling with everything right now, doing all the same stuff, gaining weight, feeling soft. Do you have anything to say to her?
Yeah, she says that she's perimenopausal, which I think is a big thing for a lot of older women, because and this, we can get into kind of some of the beliefs too that start to like make us self-sabotage a little bit. But
please do.
A lot of these beliefs around getting older, because we've heard these things where it's like, as I get older, you like your metabolism drops, and it's just like you can't do anything about it, and it's like you just gotta throw your hands up in the air. And I hear that from so many older women that they feel really disempowered because they're like at the whim of their body and their age, and nobody can control their age. And what I want you to understand is that there is not a relationship between your age and your metabolism. Like there is not a direct link. What there is a link is between the amount of muscle mass you have and your metabolism. And as you age, you naturally start to lose muscle mass. So that's where we get this connection of like, yeah, you're getting older, but it's really not that you're getting older, it's that you're losing muscle mass. And so what I always tell my older clients is that like, you can't stop the fact that you're getting older, but what you have control over is how much muscle mass you are building and maintaining. And especially as we get older, it really starts to become about maintaining muscle, like holding on to as much muscle as possible, as long as you can. So I really am gonna like push back against that idea that like just because you're getting older means you just have to like have this weight gain. It's just inevitable, and really help women to feel empowered to understand that no, like you can stop it and slow it down and even reverse it by making sure you're prioritizing your weight training, especially as an older woman.
Yes. Thank you for going there. I love you for that. So yes, anything, metabolism, mindset, muscle, all 100% welcome here.
You got to trademark that, Kiki.
Don't hold back. I know. I
The
do.
3 M's.
Those are my 3 M's.
Yeah.
Mindset, metabolism, muscle. So I'm all about those. Anything you want to discuss about those, feel free. Come back and talk about it again later. It's all good.
Yeah.
So you guys, hopefully you're starting to see a little bit more of why I love Amber and why she is the go-to person. If somebody's coming to me and they're like, I don't even get macros. I don't want to do macros. I don't even think that's for me. I'm going to send them to Amber because of the fact that understanding this information is so critical to the process. Even if, like you said, like she was telling you, even if you only track for 2 weeks, enough to get an idea of what's going on. And obviously that would be a crash course. I'm honestly, if you're doing it for 2 weeks, because you'd have to be really, really paying attention to every single thing that you're doing and understanding the information that she teaches you and how it all applies. But I'm going to put that link back up there again because Amber is running this amazing class that I want to make sure that you guys get a chance to sign up for. Now, like you're only doing this a couple times this year, right? Like twice this year.
Yeah.
So this is the reason why I'm making a big deal out of it. You guys probably like, okay, you emailed me, you posted it on social, like you're posting it everywhere. But how many times are you even doing this year?
Yeah, so we'll probably do it twice this year, and
right.
We did it 3 times last year, but we like revamped the class. So I'm really excited because it's like 2020. I'm like, I need a new class. I need a new thing. I love teaching. Teaching's my jam. And so we put together a brand new class, and so we'll offer it twice this year. Once the next time will probably be
later in the year, right? Yeah.
So we're excited. Like it's a brand new class, and so I'll be teaching all about macro counting. So I think your URL is bicepsafterbabies.com/Kiki.
Yes.
Super easy. I think she has it up on the screen too.
It's so there. That's how Amber knows that I sent you. So you definitely want to do that. Plus, she's going to give you all the information later. So I've told you guys before that Amber, she has a whole course, Macros 101, that this free class is in celebration of enrollment that's going to reopen this month. So get in the class, bring a notebook, get this information like in your head because she's going to blow your mind on the call. But make sure that you're using that link because I got some goodies for you too when you go over and you listen to Amber. And I'm going to email you guys all about that too. But I do want to make sure that they have that opportunity. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to teach in the class, what to expect, how long it is?
Yep. So my goal for the class is for you to come and to understand some of the mistakes that I share mistakes that I've made on my journey and that maybe you can relate to on your journey. And understanding like why for so long I was unable to be successful. And then I will share 4 steps that will help you to be able to get started with macro counting. So you kind of understand the process. It can seem very overwhelming for a lot of people. It feels like there's a lot of moving parts and people oftentimes are just like, I just don't even know where to get started. And so that's what I really want you to leave is understanding the concept of macro counting, why it can be a game changer, and then how to start taking those steps to get started. And like Kiki said, I have a program that like walks you through the whole thing, which I will be opening the doors to at the end of class. But even if you don't join that, my goal for you at the end of the class is to be like, okay, I have some really simple action steps that I can now take and apply to my journey regardless of where you're at. So I have some success secrets that I share that I teach my clients you'll be able to like apply right away in your journey and start to see results.
Yes, that's the main reason why I'm pushing you guys to do it. Like, regardless, you want to go to this class because, like I said, the class is free and the information that she's giving you is like just as good as if you were to like post a model of her. So you miss out this information, and if you know you need help because it is around information to take it to the next level. Because for me, I'm 100% grateful when somebody does that. If somebody's giving me like this great information and then they let me know how I can take it to the next level, that's something that I want. So you're going to stick around and you're going to get that information. But at least the first, 45, 60 minutes is just going to be you.
It'll be about 60 minutes. About a 60-minute, and then I always do a Q&A. So if you have a question that you want me to ask, I stay on and answer questions, but the main teaching portion will be about 60 minutes.
Okay. So if you guys have, you let it marinate what you learned here today. I know she dropped some bombs on you guys, especially that last one that I had up on the screen. Let me see if I can find it because I'm going to put it back up there because I love it. There is no direct link between age and metabolism. So if you are coming up with these excuses for why things are happening for you, or you are a special snowflake. One of the things that I like to talk about with my special snowflakes is what makes you special is to have a special issue and go for your goals anyway. If you have a special issue, be it aging or endometriosis like myself, or PCOS, or you have migraines, or you have 12 kids, whatever it is, if you have a special circumstance and you choose to use that as a reason to not go after whatever it is that you want, there's nothing special about that. That what makes you special is that's normal. So that's all that I want to say. I just want to make sure that we know that, because that's something that I have to constantly even remind myself when things come up, and it's, you want to look around and see how everyone else has it so much easier than you. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I would challenge you to think about, is that maybe so, but if you choose to use their level of easy and your level of hard as your reason for not even trying, now you're being normal. Now you're not being a special snowflake anymore. So be special and go sign up for Amber's class. Go figure out how you can take these things to the next level. I see Linda also had a comment, losing weight and getting in shape is so much harder in your 50s and your 30s. I mean, it is, but Amber just kind of alluded to why, because we spent a lot of our 20s, 30s, 40s even ignoring the muscle component.
Yeah. And I love to, and I'm all about like showing people what's possible and trying to showcase as many of my clients who have gotten results, who have all of those special snowflake things. And so, for example, I have Heidi has been in my program, and she is 57. So she is very much in her 50s, and she has lost 70 pounds over the last year. She says she's at her lowest weight that she's been in 14 years. And I make the point that like, that didn't change because Heidi necessarily learned, like, she was like perfect. Like she wasn't like, it wasn't because, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, like she just ate perfectly and like she never messed up and she like tracked every macro. Like that wasn't what made the shift for Heidi. What made the shift, and I actually talk about this in the class, is that Heidi started to believe that she could do it. She started to believe that her age didn't have to be the reason to hold her back. She started to believe that it was possible for her to reach her goals. And that was what shifted everything for her. And so what I want to offer to you is that, Heidi did it, right? She did it. She's in her 50s. There are other people in their 50s and 60s and 70s who have been able to change the shape of their body. And if they have been able to do it, why can't you? And I want you to look at those people as examples of like, she did it, which means that I can do it as well. Right.
Examples of what's possible versus,
oh my gosh, I don't know how she did it.
Yeah. Like, oh, well, it just must have been easier for her because,
genetics.
At some point she had to deal with those same little mindset quirks. She had to deal with those thoughts popping up of, I'm not 40 anymore. I'm not 30 anymore. Whatever the age is in our heads that we're having problems grappling with, that now we're this age and things are a little bit different than they were. We may be having problems grappling with that age, but sometimes we're spending more time grappling than doing.
Yeah.
And that self-efficacy of believing that we can do it.
And here's one of my challenges to you. If you have one of these situations, right? Because they're like, we're not saying that age like
isn't a thing.
Right? Or that hypothyroidism isn't a big deal, or that like whatever. We're not saying that it's no big deal. We're just saying that it doesn't have to keep you from your goals. And so what I would challenge you to do, if things like that come up, like I'm too old, I have too many kids, I work a full-time job, like whatever your like reasons are, go find people on Instagram, on social media, in real life, who have done what you want to do and have the same circumstances that you have. Because I guarantee you, there is somebody out there who has 14 children and is rocking it. There is somebody out there who has hypothyroidism and has been able to get a six-pack. Like there's someone out there who's 75 years old and deadlifting 135 pounds, right? Like find those people, fill your feed with those people, so you're over and over seeing what's possible for you, because it is possible.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You just like literally quoted like one of my modules in the Crushing the Diet Mentality course, because that is one of my things, which obviously can't you guys see? We like share a brain here, but that is one of the things that there is somebody out there with the exact same circumstances as you, and they are killing it. Yep. Period. Like that is, like I said, that is the thing that makes you special. it doesn't make us special to say, I have this special thing that no one else has, and therefore I can't do anything about it. That makes us normal. It's so normal to just lean into the obstacle and say, well, I mean, what can I do?
And how disempowering is that, right?
Yeah.
Like, how
We don't take
disempowering
the
is
power
that
back.
to let your circumstances decide what you're capable of doing? I like come from this place of like everything is possible every time,
Mm-hmm.
and like nobody's gonna tell me that I can't do something. I want you to, and I want you to feel just as empowered in your journey that like you are in control, you get to decide, and if you have a goal and a dream and something inside of you, like you can reach it no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy says I was thinking it sounded a bit cool. Yeah, like, I mean, Kiki and I like jive. She brings it up and I'm like, yes, yes, girl.
I know. We're like high-fiving on the side. So yeah. So Wendy's she's one of the people who've gone through my course. So Wendy, that just goes to show you that you will love Amber, because obviously she's going to take good care of you. And Linda said her trainer recommends clean eating, low carb, and working out every day. I'm not sure if that's a question, but do you have any comments on that, Amber?
I think the question here that I would ask is like, how is that working for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to stick to this? Because at the end of the day, what will work best is what you are able to consistently do and enjoy. And to me, like sustainability and enjoyment factor are the two biggest questions that you need to be asking yourself. Can I sustain this, and am I enjoying this? If you love eating clean, you love eating low carb, you're all for like working out every day, you enjoy every bit about it, and like you're like, I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life, that's awesome. Like I will not, like, don't do anything different. There's no reason to do anything different. The problem comes when you're like, I feel like crap eating low carb. I'm really struggling with clean eating, and I'm like binging on foods on the side. I can't work out every day, right? Like I don't have the time, or like I hate going to the gym. Like if that's coming up for you, then we need to have a different conversation. But I want you just to be asking yourself, like, whether you do macro counting or keto or Weight Watchers or whatever, if you enjoy it and it's sustainable, go for it, girlfriend. Like I don't need to convince you of anything else. If it's not working for you, that's when I want you to come to me, and I can show you another way that can be enjoyable and sustainable, that you can do for the rest of your life and not have to cut out things. I'm all about like, let's include the things you love into your journey.
Yes. And Keisha says she agrees with you. That's why she is pushing forward. She refuses to believe this is it. So good for you, Keisha.
Good for you, Keisha. I rock it, girl. You are not too old.
Oh no. No. Like we have all these, like, you see all the cliches, oh, you're only as old as you feel and all those things, but like that, it's legit, like you're as old as you decide to be, because like you were saying earlier, like we've just come to believe that, and we have a set of beliefs around a certain identity and the identity that we are at each age. So whether that's because I'm a mother, I shouldn't be striving to look like that, or I'm over 40, so I don't need to lose that much weight, and there's just all of these things these stories that we create around this identity that we either have or we think we should have, maybe because somebody else had it, and so we just kind of live there. And so if you are willing to question and or let go of identities that are not serving you, then this masterclass is going to be perfect for you, because of the fact that you're going to go into it, and instead of just like, oh, well, that won't work, instead of just coming into it looking for all the ways that like this won't work for you, and you just go into it with that open mind and knowing that like this can work for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm deciding that I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Well, and this like is kind of full circle all the way to like my origin story of like why I created Biceps After Babies. Like the brand Biceps After Babies was created because I had 4 kids and I was in the best shape of my life. And I heard too many women who felt like because they're not in their 20s, because they've had children, because they have stretched out skin, like that it wasn't possible for them. And so what I really wanted to come back around to is like, no, you can have biceps after babies. You can have the best body of your life in your 50s. Like it doesn't have to be, oh, that's in the past. Like it is possible for you.
Yes. Okay, so you guys, I want to obviously honor Amber's time. I know that she's got a whole mess of stuff going on over there, and especially because she's doing this whole celebration before her course actually opens. Yep. That I'm sure everybody is tugging on you for your time. So I do want to respect your time and let you get back to all the things that you do that you're so amazing at. But I want to make sure that you guys got a chance to have this information. Obviously, if you're in the protein challenge and you're still rocking with us, make sure you go over into the group and post your proof that you did your task of the day. So Amber just gave us a whole lot to chew on to understand why it's not just about the protein though. So as we're winding up, tomorrow is day 7. The protein challenge is coming to a close, but the principles that you got started here don't have to end. The information that Amber has is going to help you take it to the next level, because it's not just about the protein. Protein's important, and I do want you to increase your protein, but I don't want you to go to the extreme and think that all the other stuff doesn't count, or, oh, well, as long as I'm just eating protein all day long, I don't need to worry about doing anything else, because there's other stuff to do. Amber's going to tell you what it is. So go to bicepsafterbabies.com/Kiki so that she knows that you came from what we're doing right now. So she knows that I sent you, and so that I can share some special stuff with you that I'm going to do for anyone who does take part in the bonuses and information that you give later on after the class. So sweet. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you so much, Amber, for coming and chatting with us today.
So fun.